So without further ado, I want to bring the guys in. We got Drew and Matt, Midas Gold Group / Boomerang Podcast. We got the base crew. They are here yet again. Everyone give them a warm welcome to talk about the oncoming World War III. Guys, good to see you guys again.
What's going on, Drew?
Live again. Let's go.
What a hell of an opening. I love it. Only on Rumble.
Only on Rumble. Not
Drew
the
Hernandez
nonsense.
Let's go. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the one thing that caught my attention is the Biden. It just depends who's wearing the mask. You know, that's how
I think his mask was falling off the other day. I don't think it's conspiracy theory.
No, for real. What a lot of people were saying is you could tell there's something off because everyone in my chat, they're like, dude.
Could you tell?
What's up with his chin? Like he's got like some weird testicle chin, some hanging testicle chin, and people are like,
that's why I grew a beard.
Totally confused. What?
That's why I grew the beard. You know, that's why I don't shave my head. It looks like a testicle. Anywho, I digress.
But it's like really strange because it hangs and everyone was totally confused. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, dictators are known. This is world history of having doubles and clones back in the day, it was like, so they don't get assassinated. But for Biden, there's like an assembly line, for every speech. So he doesn't get destroyed by the teleprompter.
100%.
So
listen,
we are hearing a lot.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Drew. But I just want to again just thank you for having us on. We love being on. You were actually the first podcast that allowed us to come on live. So as we're struggling through just the mechanics, appreciate it, and hopefully this will be a lot better.
No, absolutely. You guys are based. You guys are awesome. We love you. The viewers love you. I know the chat is showing you guys some love as always, because without you guys, without Midas Gold Group, I mean, we wouldn't be here. Like we can only be independent, and you guys should be following the Boomerang Podcast. Let's just get that out of the way. We'll do it at the end too, but I want to make sure that we are pushing as much traffic to the Boomerang Podcast as possible. I know you guys are on YouTube, but you guys are also on Rumble as well. What exactly are the coordinates for everyone that's just tuning in right now so they can go do that, get that out of the way, and we'll do it again at the end so we can get as much traffic.
I'm going to go on a limb and say the Boomerang Podcast probably covers it all.
Yeah, so you could just go on and on YouTube, put in the Boomerang Podcast or Twitter or whatever. I think we're on Spotify now too.
We are.
Yeah, we're on Spotify.
Well, so there you guys go.
Rumble's where it's at.
Rumble's where it's at, absolutely.
Absolutely. Make sure that you guys are supporting them because they support us. We're one big happy family, and this is how it works, you guys. I know you guys get it, but for the viewers out there, it's like this is kind of how alternative independent media starts to form itself. You get, some funding going, and then you have shows that start collaborating that actually get it, that are like-minded. And, that matters the most. And I wasn't planning on talking about this, but, it really matters the most because when you start to run into problems, I mean, you're always going to have like creative differences, but like ideologically, like understanding fundamentally what is happening to us as a nation, you have
100%.
to be locking arms with the right people. You have to be, or else you're going to
viewers,
die.
When your viewers call in, it's like, it makes our job like really easy, because we're fighting cognitive dissonance nonstop. People that just don't want to believe what's happening in front of their eyes. It's crazy.
So and I think that's a great point because like when you guys are fighting this battle and all of us are in it together, you have to be ideologically synced because if you're not, that's when you deal with traitors. That's when you deal with people that have their own agendas. And I've seen these people, man, like people's egos get in the way and they just want to be famous. They just want a name, or it may not even be that. Like there are legitimate plants like in this industry, man, like they're there just to like have controlled opposition and the optics that there's actually something going on. So we love you guys. All that to say, we love you guys. I know you guys get that. What were you going to say?
I was going to say the psyops are real. Like, 100% with the plants and, you have to see what people do over the long term. Like they come in strong, but like, are they really with the cause or not? Right. Sometimes they come in to fool you, but yeah, let's jump into it.
Yeah, well, let's jump directly into it, guys. A lot of big news and a lot of World War III talk, especially when you have Elon Musk. You guys know how I feel about him. Very critical. I really don't trust him. But these were some huge headlines today. Let's start with InfoWars. Musk sounds the alarm. We are sleepwalking into World War III. Let me get this clip up so we could all react to it right now.
I think we are sleepwalking our way into World War III. Sleepwalking our way into World War III, with one foolish decision after another, as you outlined, David, and really people should be deeply self-reflective. If their predictions have not come true, they should consider whether perhaps their other predictions might not come true either. I mean, what is the track record here? It's not good.
It's funny in the investing world,
Well, and there it is. I mean, when you have Elon Musk coming out and talking like that, and then the rest of the world listening, I think it's pretty clear where the world is going. And I think the point he makes is pretty accurate. I mean, like, who can you trust in this day and age, especially when you got wartime propaganda going on both sides and everything's a conspiracy theory and it turns out to be true? What are you guys' thoughts on Elon's statements?
I mean, Elon certainly is a guy who I agree with you, Drew. I think Elon's very questionable, but I like what he's done with Twitter. I like how Twitter now has the what is it? The segment where it corrects the statement.
Community notes.
The community notes. Thank you. I think the community notes, I think he's done a lot of good, but I'm with you on that. I still really question Elon Musk.
Probably where I'm a little different is for a while. I live in San Francisco. I worked at these tech companies. I've been in tech, and I've always liked Elon. And there's been some things that he's done questionably, and that Matt's been, I'm not quite sure if this like white hat or good guy, bad guy. I'd like to think he's good. Like he's $44 billion to get the public square, right? To be able to have free thought, be able to do this, and just the things that he's exposed. Now, I think he's kind of handicapped or handcuffed a little bit in the sense that he can only do so much without being not taken out, but kneecapped.
But he also took a lot of government money during the Obama years.
Well, it's like Trump said,
right.
With the taxes, he's like, well, you guys created it.
Right.
Of course I'm going to take advantage.
I
can't give him a hard time for taking advantage of the clown show that we're living in. But, I mean, he put his money where his mouth was, and he's getting out. So I don't know if that correlates with what you think, Drew, but I give him a little credit for almost freeing Twitter, formerly formerly
firing
Twitter,
employees, setting an example.
Yeah.
Sort of what social media companies should do.
We have the town square is a little bit open.
Right.
Well, speaking of finances, and I think whenever we're talking about another global world war, we know that the world banks, we know that the elites, and speaking of multi-billionaires, we know that the military-industrial complex. I mean, take a look at this. Here's another pretty clear headline of where things are obviously going. World War III alert. Pentagon puts troops on prepare to deploy. Orders amid attacks on United States in Middle East. The United States Department of Defense is putting additional troops on prepare to deploy status in response to the recent escalations by Iran and its proxy forces in the Middle East. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on Saturday outlined 3 major steps in the United States military will take to strengthen its position in the region, redirecting naval assets, deploying missile defense systems, and issuing prepare to deploy orders. So it looks like another conflict in the region yet again. But I do have a question for you guys from a financial perspective. How much will this global regime benefit off of another possible world war? The world banks, all these elites. On that front, what do you guys see on the horizon?
Oh, massively benefit.
For them, 100%.
Huge.
Historically, it always has. I think the big difference is, if they can get their narrative across and they can get, it's just like Ukraine, right? Let's destroy it to give JP Morgan and BlackRock the rights to rebuild it, right? Because there's an industry involved in it. So, I don't know how to work out, but ideally, like, listen, these guys want war. That's their bread and butter. They're always going to push for it. And
I mean, how do you keep Lockheed Martin in business? Building planes, right? What are those planes built for? What is the F-22 Raptor built for? Bombing, shooting down other planes. So the military-industrial complex, I think, from Eisenhower's speech in, 1959, his farewell address, the most important speech in perhaps American history, because he warned us all. He warned everybody. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from somebody like President Eisenhower, General Eisenhower.
Absolutely. And, I think the obvious writing on the wall, and I've made this point a lot, is the obvious point is it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you have these warmongers. You got like Nikki Haley, you got like Lindsey Graham, you got Mike Pence. They just want to give Ukraine everything. They want to just give all our money, another multi-trillion-dollar war in Europe and Ukraine. And then here we go with another one in the Middle East, another never-ending conflict. But what I've never understood, and I guess even just like as a young person, I sit there and I think to myself, well, the reason is always the same. right? Like whenever they reason with the general public or they reason with Americans as to why you should continue to go pour for another never-ending war for allies in the region. In the middle of, here we are with mass inflation, recession, and we're losing absolutely everything. It's all by design. I understand that. But like for all the normies out there, like it does not make sense because their reasoning is always, well, we have to preemptively get ready for the threat. We can't allow Putin to get stronger and stronger and stronger because then we're going to have to deal with it. We can't allow the region with Iran. They're going to continue to get more powerful, even though you're funding everything, right? Right, Joe Biden, you're just giving them $6 billion. While America continues to get weakened. Like if the argument is, well, we should empower our own American military, how the hell are we doing that when we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars for other governments and their military? I've never understood that. Do you guys?
It's crazy. We're literally paying, they pay off, Iran, they pay off, in one way or another goes.
Well, they released, it was Iran's money. Don't forget, right?
But
that's the cover story.
But the moral of the story is like, they're giving them money to enrich themselves to be able to be a threat. And then these government officials say, well, hey, now we have to prepare for the threat. Well, it's like, if you didn't fund them, then we wouldn't have to worry about these guys. It's really wild.
Well, what it is the magician always, right? The magician's doing the trick in this end, but really it's happening in this end. They're showing you that it's happening over here. What it is this is actually, on the topic of finance and kind of what we do is they're going to do war, but really the problem is in the economy. It's in the banks, right? Treasury bills going south, the whole debt market collapsing. Right. They want war because they don't want you to look over here. They want you to look over there. Right. But don't look over here.
And, I think that is a huge point because we've been talking about that a lot. And I've been telling people it is so convenient, isn't it? It is so convenient to just get the entire, because you have so much going on. You have look at this. I'll give you guys just a cultural example. I mean, I can't think, this is 50 Cent is still relevant. Okay. He's absolutely still relevant. 50 Cent tells Joe Biden to get the F up from beach vacation amid Israel turmoil. He posted it once on his Instagram. Rapper 50 Cent publicly scolded President Joe Biden for vacationing at the beach while the Middle East teeters on the brink of war. And we're getting sucked into it. He made multiple posts. First, he posted just kind of like going at Joe Biden. And then the media tried to go after him, and then he doubled down on it. Here's the point. The point is you have these are huge cultural figures, and especially particularly in the Black community with a lot of huge cultural figures waking up to the reality that Joe Biden is terrible and that he doesn't give a damn about anybody in the culture. He doesn't give a damn about any Americans in this country while our country continues to get shredded to pieces. This is the kind of stuff that is waking people up in the culture. I know a lot of, right-wingers, this is, I think, their biggest problem is they don't want to, the culture, we don't really care. Well, you should care because this is the kind of stuff that the other side really manipulates and they're very good at it. And that's how they win, aside from, rigging elections now post 2020, but they've probably been doing that for a very long time. The point is there's so much right now, guys. There's so much coming out with people waking up. You got all the Black people waking up because Trump is getting slapped with RICO charges. And dude, you even got YG. I've made this point a lot. YG is the guy who made the famous song F Donald Trump. And Trump gets slapped with RICO, and the guy comes out and says, he's getting a lot of respect right now because we know what that means. We know exactly what that means. So, I mean, that's just one of many things, guys. To distract
one of
you
many,
from
because
the collapse.
you know what? It's like, hey, why don't we let 8 million illegal immigrants in?
Yep.
Take away your special funding, give it to the illegal immigrants, and all of a sudden you see the Black community being like, well, wait a second, this is messed up. But it's unfortunate that it actually takes that to wake them up. It's like
people learn the hard way.
Unfortunately. And it's what sucks is everybody learns the hard way because we got millions of illegal immigrants. That means they're taking over hotels, right?
I mean, I kind of agree with you in terms of, what right wingers think, because I really don't give a shit what some drug dealer from Queens, meaning 50 Cent, has to say. But unfortunately, that's the stuff that influences left-wing politics, which is pretty pathetic when you think about it.
Well, he got shot 9 times. He went through a dating session with Chelsea Handler, super lib, and this is what woke him up. But everybody teach their own.
Absolutely, exactly, and that's the problem. That's the problem is, unfortunately, and I've been telling people, it's gonna have to get pretty damn bad it's going to have to get pretty damn bad for people like this. Okay. And that people that follow cultural figures like this to start to pay attention to what's really going on, especially being a multi-million. Is 50 a billionaire yet? I don't know. Maybe. I don't, but he's absolutely a multi-millionaire.
It's just digits on a screen.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to when you get to that level, your taxes are just they're through the roof. And guys like this that actually love money.
And he actually came out and he was complaining about taxes in New York, 50 Cent.
Yep.
Since we're talking about, a couple years back, he's like, this is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. See, but that's what needs to happen, unfortunately, to some of these big cultural figures. Because, I mean, when it comes to these cultural figures, you're either going to be a useful idiot or you're going to think for yourself. It's one or the other. You're either going to be a useful idiot or you're going to think for yourself. And when they get to these points, it wakes people up. But I can't think of anything bigger to distract from all of this. I mean, people waking up to the reality that the government has been weaponized against Americans. Like, people fell asleep to that. Even my generation, like, it blows my mind to this day that there are millennials to this day. Like, I grew up in the whole like pop punk rock, Blink-182, San Diego type.
Yeah, we did too.
Yeah, like I grew up in that, and like I grew up like, don't trust the government. Never trust what they say. Never trust what these people like. I don't trust any of the establishment figures. And my generation has been so hijacked and cucked out and like turned around where it's like, oh yeah, AOC definitely represents millennials now. They definitely represent us. Like, yeah, they're the voice of the people. Trust the government all of a sudden. The point is this. The point is, I find it so crazy that we've gotten to this point where it takes such a radical, just like shaking of the damn tree, where the tree probably has to be uprooted and burned down to the ground for people to actually wake up to this reality. But unfortunately, that's what it takes. And I think right now what we're witnessing is kind of like this comeback. I've seen that, especially with the black people, seeing Trump getting hit with RICO, like, oh, wow. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't trust the government with everything because they don't have our best interests in mind. And like you say, millions of illegals invading this country, the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, inflation, your groceries quadrupling, gas doubling, tripling, quadrupling. There's so much that people are waking up to. And here you go. Just look at the Middle East again, guys. Just pay attention to the Middle East and don't pay attention to any of this other stuff that's been pissing you off for the past 3.5 years because Daddy Biden's going to fix what's going on between Israel and Palestine. I'm over it, dude.
While he's walking the beach and, whatever, robot. It's wild.
It is. But how do you guys feel about Joe Biden's Oval Office address? Did you guys see any of the clips?
A little bit.
I mean, it's weird.
It's all incoherent.
He's leaving for a.
I'm more of the conspiracy theorist between the two of us. I don't think it's Joe Biden.
We do a segment
where
Matt puts a tinfoil hat on for some time.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on the right show. Let's go.
I don't think it's Joe Biden. I really don't.
Go for it.
He ended it right by saying, "I have to go to the situation room." Right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. No. It
can't be real. It can't be real. There's no way it's real. He trips and falls every time. How could this be? It's an awakening process. I think it's just a way to make people get to the point of like, this is absurd. And it is absurd. So I don't think it's him. That's my opinion.
But we did watch the clip that you're talking about, and it was awkward.
It's absurd.
Let me play it for the viewers.
I'd like to know what the situation is.
Let's show the viewers the clip in case they didn't see it. It was really bizarre. This was I think today or yesterday. I have no idea what's going on with this dude here, but take a look, guys.
I apologize. I have to go to the situation room with another issue I have to deal with. Thank you. See, I apologize. I have to go to the situation room with another issue I have to deal with. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. He probably just like splattered his
$10
pants.
he had to pee. $10 he had to pee. That's the situation for Joe Biden, unfortunately.
$100
you can't leave him with anything more important than that.
Whoever it was, he probably did piss his pants. He probably did just splatter in his pants.
It just depends, Drew. It just depends.
It depends if that's even really him. I don't know, man. I see. You know what's crazy is when you see these clips, guys. It's just like let me throw this up real quick. Like you see these clips and you take a look at. It's bad when like the handlers they look so.
Yeah, the woman to the right is like,
they look so nervous anytime he's talking off the cuff. Like they have no idea what's coming. They look like it's like,
because they don't know what he's going to say. They don't know.
No, not at all. It's like a mother. It's like a mother letting her like really rebellious son that has like no filter just go up there and like speak in front of all the other moms for the very first time. Like, oh, I don't know what he's going to say. I'm really nervous. What's going to come out of his mouth right now? Is it going to be coherent? Is it going to be a bad word? I have no clue. The point is he's like a baby. He's like an infant, dude. He's literally like an infant.
What if it's intentional by the other side in order to get him out of office early and throw somebody else in
the
there?
last minute?
I'm just saying. Just thinking out loud.
No, let's go. Continue. Expound on that. This is what this show loves.
I mean, Kamala Harris would have to go too, right? Because she's not a natural born citizen. So technically she couldn't be president. I think they have to put somebody else in there. And from what I'm hearing, Biden's not going to make it to 2024. He's got no chance against Trump. He didn't in 2020, right? We know he didn't win that election. I think they need to change a batter, and I think they're going to have to do it out in public. Is it Gavin Newsom? Is it Michelle Obama? Or better yet,
Big Mike?
Big Mike.
I don't know. I don't pretend to know everything, but I can just tell you right now, that testicle chin is really still in my mind.
Some shenanigans are, in play.
No, it makes total sense because
Thank you, Rumble.
I've always made this point where this is why you're getting like the fetter necks and like these like mentally incompetent people put in these positions, because I think they would rather prefer a puppet. They would rather prefer someone mindless, because they're not going to question anything. They're not going to provide any resistance or rebellion. They're not going to think for themselves. They're going to sit there, read a script, and then at the same time be like, yay, good job. Like, yay, so great. Yay.
Ron Burgundy will literally read whatever you put on the teleprompter. Just
good,
write
bro.
it.
That's good.
Drew, I'm pretty curious. I don't know if it's on the agenda, but decided in, just with the House Speaker race, I don't even know what you call it, vote. Jim Jordan got shut down, the Rhinos, blah, 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 blah. But I'm just curious kind of who you would put your cards behind, right now where we're at. Brian Scott, Brian Donalds, a couple different people. Byron Donald. I was so close.
Close enough.
But where's your money?
I would say whoever's closest to MAGA, America First. I would say maybe if that's the only selection, maybe Byron is the closest at this point. If that is the reality, I think
because we keep going down the list though, so it's like as we go down a candidate, something's got to give, right?
Yeah.
To the
there's no rush because they can't get any funding through.
The best part about Congress right now, is we haven't funded any new. Ukraine.
The Democrats are the ones actually under the gun to get a speaker because they can't get their funding. They need the funding to go to Ukraine.
Yep. So the stall is actually kind of benefiting what's going on with the right now, but obviously the America First candidate is always going to be the preferred. But I thought Trump should have just gone in there and done it just to be a savage.
Just be done with it. And then whoever wants to vote against him, now we know you're on your other side.
Yep. Expose everybody.
Trump needs to be president. That's what needs to happen.
But the problem is he could do both. And, as much as he's like, my sights are set, then we run into this whole thing with the speaker. And if he just said, whether I get it or not, I'm going to throw my hat in the race, then we get to weed out everybody who's just, because they'll use him for fundraising, but will you actually vote for him? Will you vote for his policies? And that's what I'd like to know.
I'd like to see the government shut down and just prove to everybody that we don't even need them. We can function just fine.
Yeah. Cancel the 87 IRS agents.
Yeah.
We're good.
Boom.
Flat tax, 10%. Anybody can do the math. You just move the decimal.
Absolutely. No, it's a clown show. Like, to me, honestly, and the viewers know how I feel about all this. It's just one giant political theater with all of it, every single day. And you see all of them trying to show face and trying to act like they're MAGA. But then when it comes down to it, like, people are shocked that, Lauren Boebert, MTG, did not vote to vacate McCarthy. Oh, people were really shocked that happened. It's like, whoa, you get compromised when you go to DC and nothing is actually what it seems. Mm-hmm. That's what I always tell people, man, is like the uniparty is so abundantly real. And, like, I watch a bunch of talk show hosts and like I said, this always goes back to my upbringing as like a young SoCal kid. Like, I've never trusted either side, dude. Like, that's why I thought Trump was so based when he first came around. He's like, you know what? Screw all of them. All of you
That's
Republicans.
the whole movement.
You know,
the whole movement.
Just get rid of all of them. Let's just get in there and bring it back to the people.
Yep.
So.
Trump could have run as a Republican or a Democrat. You know, it would have made it just is his own party, but he took it, you know, he ran into one party and took the morals and things that he believed in and brought it out. You know, I love that, but it really exposes both sides, you know,
Yes.
and that's, you know, we're not at a third party. It's hard to do it, but we're getting closer and closer to weeding out like Democrat, Republican, just that stagnant, you know, two-party system. You know, there's an independent, you know, Patriot First party looming.
America First.
America First. Yeah. Patriot First for us.
Is it Patriot First?
It is now.
Well, it is now, but people understand, man. It's just free thinkers.
Yes.
Those like see, but that's the psyop. And I wanted to, you know, I saw this over the weekend, and I've been roasting this all day on all my other shows because, you know, I spent some time with family over the weekend because I really, you know, really needed to. And, you know, every now and then I try not to look at my phone, but I look at my phone, I pull up Twitter, and I see this, and it's all over. All these indie, you know, all the ones that have been propped up by Elon on Twitter to be like independent reporters that are never really anywhere. They're just kind of like sharing rumors, which is weird. I'm all for independent. That's like my heritage. That's where I come from, but you got to do it like accurately and right, you know? But I saw this story going up everywhere, and it blew my mind because it was being promoted as breaking news everywhere. Biden border crisis, Customs and Border Protection issue warning for Hamas, Hezbollah, jihad forces trying to enter the southern border. And some of these reporters that have been propped up by Elon were posting it as breaking news. And they were literally in the captions commenting and saying, Hamas might enter, or they could enter, according to Border Patrol. They could be entering the United States. A new report, breaking news. And I'm sitting there like, what do you mean this is breaking news? This has been
going on for years.
It's going on for years. Explain it, guys. Explain it. I know you guys get it.
Well, I mean, I heard about.
We're all in Arizona. You're Phoenician yourself. We're all in Arizona.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting a little crowded here.
I heard about cells of Al Qaeda 15 years ago, way before Trump ever came in Arizona.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, if anybody thinks otherwise, you're a fool.
Well, the idea though is just like, hey, we're letting everybody in, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, there might be some, cells out here that are, terrorists. You know, it's great. Of course, they're absolutely. If you found one, there's 15 you don't know about,
exactly.
Right?
You know, the crazy thing is, and I've been telling people, it implies that they're doing something about it. Like it implies, like, oh yeah, Biden DHS, they're warning of an imminent, Hamas and Hezbollah, cells attempting to infiltrate through the southern border, but we're on top of it. They are definitely, we know about it. We got the intel and we're holding the line. This line has definitely not been open for the past 3.5 years. And like you said, past 15 to 20 years. It just so blows my mind. Particularly.
We know about all of it. Everybody's got a cell phone and they got a court date 18 months from now. We're on top of it.
Absolutely. The thing that I think about too is I remember in 2021 when I was doing some reporting in Phoenix and Scottsdale. I'm sure you guys heard about this.
Sure.
But when the Biden's collapse of the formerly known southern border and he launched the replacement migration agenda almost immediately, dude. They were talking about it on the campaign trail, right? We have to immediately surge the border. But I remember going down to Scottsdale and there's a hotel. A lot of people don't know about that. I don't know if it's still there, but I remember in 2021 it was the Migrants Hotel. And what was interesting about it was, it was like clockwork. I don't know if it's still up today, but there was like bringing in the buses. There were like unidentified, unlabeled cars going in and out of the facility. The locals were pissed. It was like across the street from a senior citizen home. And I think there was like a school right down the street as well, right in a suburb in Scottsdale. The crazy part is like when we were filming and we were documenting, we were expecting, this is what was really pissing people off. I remember at the time, it was a lot of military-aged Middle Eastern dudes that were coming out of the hotel, walking around with children, walking up, going to the grocery store, coming back. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, this has probably been going on for a while, because for them to just like initiate and mobilize this immediately Why is it that this particular group of people from the Middle East are coming to Scottsdale? You see what I'm saying? How come nowhere else? It was like literally a hub. Did you guys know this? Tell me if you guys knew this.
I didn't know this.
No, yeah, it was.
This is
it
new.
was literally a hub. I don't know if it's still there, but it was literally, and it was all predominantly Middle Eastern military aged dudes. Scottsdale, dude. Freaking Scottsdale. Like, what? Wild. Is that a surprise to you guys?
Not at all.
Well, I mean, look, I don't know. When I see a lot of what's coming through the border now, or different, when they take the buses, like, oh, Texas bus these people up to Chicago. They're all middle-aged, men, very little women, children, grandparents, so it's just getting worse and worse. But it's kind of like we said earlier, once they start reporting on it, it's already been happening forever. If they tell you that, oh, there's suspected terrorist cells coming through the southern border now, that means it's already, they've known about this for 2 years. They're just now saying something, unfortunately, knock on wood, before something actually happens.
Absolutely. What do you guys think? I mean, over the weekend, well, this was not last Friday, but 2 Fridays ago, when a former Hamas founder is calling for a global jihad, you see mass demonstrations across the entire world, riots as well. Some Islamic terrorists stabbed citizens in various different countries, and you're continuing to see the uptick in violence, but you're still seeing it. Like, they got mobilized. What was interesting was, and it happened this past weekend as well, downtown in Phoenix. There was like thousands. There was thousands of pro-Hamas, Palestine, just out of nowhere. And by the way, there are huge Antifa cells in Phoenix as well, and they're in collaboration, obviously, with these Hamas groups. But what's interesting about what happened last weekend, I know these guys. Like, when I was undercover in Portland exposing Antifa, I know who is who. And there were some reporters on the ground this past weekend in Phoenix that were reporting the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, Phoenix demonstrations, whatever. And the same propagandists, the same Antifa dudes that used to be in Portland are now in Phoenix. And I think it's not a surprise, but it is something to pay attention to, especially with Katie Hobbs now installed. I just think, and I don't know, you guys let me know what you feel about this. I just feel like there's a lot of stage setting going on. They're moving their agendas. But you take a look at a state like Arizona that has been absolutely compromised, infiltrated the cartel, are controlling so much. Katie Hobbs is there for a reason. But I do think we're moving towards something bigger and bigger and bigger. Thank God, Arizona still concealed carry constitutional. I mean, I know you guys know that, but how do you think, where does Arizona fall in all of this? You think something really, I have more faith in Arizona that if, some kind of mass, ground jihad slaughter in suburbs like they tried in Israel, I don't think would fly. I want to believe that. I know for my house, but do you think Arizona is changing, or is that just the psyop to get people to believe that it's actually going purple or going blue?
Well, back in February, there was a woman who came forward named Jacqueline Breger. She's actually an insurance agent out of Scottsdale. And she came forward at a town hall meeting, you can YouTube it. She came forward and said that Katie Hobbs was taking payments from the drug cartels through phony home sales and all kinds of stuff. So I think that, just to add to your point, I think that Katie Hobbs is actually in business with this stuff. She's profiting from it directly. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I fully agree with you on the Second Amendment aspect here, is that thank God we have our guns, right? And we're a gold shop, so we're, this is money where people could come in and, we're worried about being held at gunpoint, especially with illegals and terrorists coming in here. So believe me, we're here, we're armed to the teeth.
And you know what, to add on top of that, Drew, you brought up the day of Allah or whatever they called it. But you know what, on that Friday, and like, I had my wife work from home. I have a 1-year-old baby girl. She didn't go to, just because like those scumbags, like they would go after an elementary school, a daycare, something like that. Right. So I just played it safe. But I would like to think that, just knowing local Arizonians and, people here, we're pretty well armed, right? Mm-hmm. People do actually appreciate the Second Amendment, which is why we can say Katie Hobbs.
Great people in the state.
No,
great people.
I mean, you just talk to 10 people randomly, throughout the state, and it's like, there's just no Katie Hobbs, get out of here. But yeah, it's something to worry about. And knowing the border is so close, like, yeah, I kept my family in. Like, you guys work from home, like you're not going to school that day. It's all good. I just don't want to risk it because they're out there, and Arizona is infiltrated, unfortunately.
And absolutely. And, people will come out and say, well, you're just living in fear and you're scared. It's like, no. It's living prepared because, the current state of
the scared people are the ones who aren't prepared.
Absolutely. And, the State of the Union is not in a good place. The State of the Union is crippled. The State of the Union is fractured. The State of the Union is infiltrated. The State of the Union is not strong. Like I'm embarrassed. I truly am embarrassed to come out and, even say like America's not a great place right now. It's really not. We have the federal government weaponized against its own citizens. The tyranny is rising. It's increasing. And, because you get a lot of like, Trump supporters or that say, make America great again. And then you say, America sucks, guys. It's really not a good place right now. Like we are being targeted right now by our own government. And they come out and say, well, America's the greatest. Like, dude, no. Then why are we going to make America great again? It's like, don't get psyoped into this, man. It really is bad. I mean, I would rather be here right now than like Venezuela. That's for sure. Like North Korea. But I don't know, man.
It's our responsibility to make sure it doesn't end up that way.
Exactly.
We can't be the next, Venezuela, Argentina. We got to get rid of these socialists, communists, whatever name they want to give themselves. It's like the people that are like pro-Palestinian, like the LGBTQ divided by 4 group. Like, think about it. They're like, yo, we're pro-Palestinian. But yeah, go wave that flag there. They'll chop your head off in 10 minutes. The disconnect between it is crazy. Like the virtual signaling is there, but the disconnect between these two groups is really absurd.
Clown world.
Yeah. We're Orwellian 84. It's wild. The people that would actually get slaughtered by these people are like, oh yeah, they just want peace. They only killed like 500 civilians at a rave just for shits and giggles. They just want peace. They just need to be seen. It's crazy.
And this has been going on for thousands of years, and I wanted to ask you guys, because we saw the insurrection at the Capitol, all these, which was, I don't know, because it was a lot of so-called, they had all their t-shirts on and they had signs saying United States Jews call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Did you guys see those clips?
Rashida Tlaib should be arrested for treason.
There you go. But I also wanted to ask you guys, because I thought it was interesting that a lot of the people wearing t-shirts on were claiming to be U.S. Jews calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Do you guys think that was legitimate? Do you think those are actually Jews, or is those like like paid?
It's like the Fed walking around in khaki pants and their little polos, through Pennsylvania, and saying, "Oh, they're feds. They're feds."
It's Saul Alinsky 101.
Exactly.
Paid actors. There's probably a central casting post 2 weeks prior to that. $15 an hour.
I really didn't have this on my radar. I didn't have Hamas reactivated right before the 2024 election. I didn't.
Who would have guessed? Who would have thunk it?
I didn't. I really didn't. And I think that's the interesting thing is you see. I think it's really weird when you see these people with these t-shirts on, and you're like, how could you really be supporting? Like if you are like just straight up, 100% diehard Israel Jew. How could you sit there and be like, let's call a ceasefire in Gaza so they can continue to kill us? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Makes no sense.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Goes against human nature. Yeah, it's not real
at all.
How could it be?
Absolutely.
How could it be? How could your friends and family, your neighbors, somebody get killed? Murdered, right? And you're just like, man, let's go ceasefire.
Hopefully there's some good news out of this, and that is these people come out into the streets, they show their faces, and hopefully there's some good guys watching behind the scenes and, taking numbers.
I'd love nothing more to see a few Palestinian people actually condemn Hamas. Like,
where's the condemnation of Hamas by Palestinian people? Let's see that happen.
Like everybody tells me Hamas is, they're overtaking the Palestinian people, but there's 3 million Palestinians. 30,000 Hamas. I mean, at some point you got to stand up for yourself unless people are just going to assume you're with that party.
Well, they can't. And the reason why they can't is not because they're like held hostage. It's because they share the same God. They share the same God, and they can't turn their back on that God. And if they do, that's worse than not affiliating with Hamas and getting your head cut off for it.
Right.
Does that make sense? So it's like, that's why these people can't come out and they can't condemn Hamas, because to condemn Hamas is to condemn Islam, Muhammad, Allah, and all that ideology. So it's all, I mean, the Bible's just so clear. This is doctrines of demons, dude. You know, it's all just a slaughter of humanity and those made in the image of God. And I think you're going to continue to see that. But you know, for like normies out there, what do you guys, to your message to like normies out there, what do you guys see on the horizon? I mean, this is it, guys. We're approaching the end of 2023. It's go time. Like this is it. 2024. You know, I don't know how we're going to win a rigged election, to be honest with you guys. I don't know if I have an answer for that. And I know a lot of Republicans have been saying, well, ballot harvesting. Like, yeah, dude, we can't do what they do, because then the feds get weaponized and they make it illegal and they throw everybody in prison. But what do you guys see on the horizon these next 12 months as we go into 2024? What do you guys see coming?
I would say you've seen nothing yet. You've seen nothing.
So fireworks.
Things are going to be, if you think it's bad now, it's going to be a lot worse 6 months from now. It's going to be a lot worse a year from now. This is why we tell people to get money out of the banks, because the banks are in on the scheme too, right? The banks and the politicians, they're one and the same. It's all the same people. Exit the system, be self-sufficient, and just take care of yourself. That's all you can do.
And I'd also say, like, where are you getting your information, right? You're coming to Drew Hernandez on Rumble, like you're getting real deal stuff, the truth. the truth. But like the thing is like, you know, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take your head on the sand. You got to wake up, and there's probably going to be some really hard times coming ahead. And I think that's where Matt's, you know, leading into, of like, you got to prepare for that. And ideally we don't have to use it, but I mean, listen, we got we have Joe Biden running around, who we all know is incompetent. You know, he couldn't even tell you where he's at, being paraded around. And we have all these issues coming up, and we have all these wars sparking up, and it's just a lot of tension building, right? And if you just think that everything's going to be taken care of, like, I think there's going to be a lot of hardship coming to you. So prepare for yourself, prepare for the worst. You know, hopefully we don't have to use it, but just take a look around. Like, I think we have some turmoil.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you guys, if Trump loses and this continues, what do you guys see? Where do you see this going? Where do you see
if
this
there is
going
an
for the
election,
American people?
Yeah, if there even is an election, I agree with you. Trump will lose if we play by their rules, because, right, obviously, playing by their rules in 2020, I heard Trump got 110 million votes in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who knows? Right? I don't. You know, I just hear this stuff. But yeah, if Trump loses, this country's gone, and we could be in for some hard times. I would say, you know, get your neighbors together. You know, get a plan going. I mean, Andrew and I, we live very close to one another. We've got friends in the area. We actually have a plan. We actually, you know, we've got walkie-talkies and all that stuff. You know, not that we want to use them, but it's like
a grassroots, a community thing. It's
yeah,
you get back to like the basics and the people that live around you and the communities around you. Trump doesn't win. I mean, it's like, I hesitate to say, but
it's over.
Yeah, you know, we're going to become a third world country, and we're, you know, one thing Americans aren't used to is, you know, one thing about your president, but if another country starts telling us what to do, we've never had that, you know, been under somebody else's servitude. So, you know, I'm scared to even think about it.
I'll give the viewers one maybe positive note, and that is the interview with Jan Halper Hayes, right? If you go to the Gateway Pundit and you type in Jan Halper Hayes and you look up the interview she did on, I don't know if it was the BBC, some British station, but she says that Space Force has been tracking elections since 2018. So I do think there are some good guys behind this, but they can't come out of the shadows before people learn the harsh lesson of what rigged elections do. I do think the military is there. I do think they're watching. I really believe that. I don't think that there's going to be election in 2024, but the situation is dire. And I would certainly start by getting things like your money out of the bank. Get it the hell out, because these people are all in on the jig. Take self-custody of whatever you can. Food, right? Doesn't even have to be gold and silver. Could be your food, medicine, right? If you're older in age, go get 6 months of blood pressure medication because they're going to shut things down.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the point we've always made on this show is over preparing for everything. Cross all your T's, dot all of your I's. America's never fully experienced a full digital infrastructure shutdown, like fully, just entire country down. And that could fully happen.
We're not prepared for it.
You've got to prepare for it. Absolutely.
Well, we're not, as a country, we're not even close to prepared. You know, what sucks is that so many people, even the people listening to us, like they're like listening because they understand and they see things coming down the pipeline and they're learning from you. But the general public is not prepared for the hardship that could be coming down the line. And me and Matt know, and same as you, Drew, we're probably all about close to the same age. But a lot of people I know that I grew up with, like, if somebody ain't making their food at a fast food restaurant, right? Like they're not growing anything. They don't know how to prepare. If they can't buy it, assuming that their money's worth anything, like they're essentially, they don't know how to fish, right? I can give you a fish, you can live for a day, but if I can't teach you how to fish, you're going to die, So I just feel like that's where we're going down the pipeline. And I'm really worried about people our age who, can't do anything outside of, like, if the power goes out, what are you going to do? Can you grow crop? Can you grow corn? Can you grow a garden? Can you tend to chickens and eggs? Like, no, nobody does that stuff. We all live in suburbs, and I just wonder if we're really prepared for that kind of third world kind of life, if you will.
Well, and the New World Order is going to play on that. That's part of the entire operation is get people not self-reliant, self-sufficient, get them attached and reliant on the grid. So that grid can get pulled from under them at any time financially. This goes for everything, guys. That's why we're always telling you guys to continue to get prepared, especially MidasGoldGroup.com. Boomerang Podcast, guys. Thank you guys for joining me, Matt, Drew. As always, you guys are always welcome on the show. I know we got some announcements as well. Where can people, again, because we got way more viewers than when we started, let them know where they can find the podcast, find the shows, and also what we have coming up in the next week.
Yeah, so we have you in the studio next week. We're looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
We got you something cool, by the way.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
But yeah, tell them where they can find us.
Rumble, YouTube, the Boomerang Podcast, George Magazine, George Video. If you guys want to subscribe there.
Yeah, video.georgemagazine.com.
They're awesome. But yeah, YouTube, X, same thing. Just find us, like us, share us, and really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Drew.
Dude, no worries. Yes, I'll be in studio. Boomerang Podcast. I think it launches either sometime Monday or Tuesday. That will be to determine, but next week it will be going down. Salute to you guys. Love you guys.
Salute.
Hope you guys have an incredible night. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you for having us, Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
All right, peace out.